project is a proposal to create ways to improve rural Nova Scotia seniors' access to services through the intervention of a senior navigator. And we have been, the Rural Communities Foundation of Nova Scotia launched this project in the late part of 2015. Once this foundation is laid, we're going to look at why we're doing it through the eyes of the communities. And you'll see through the research that's come to date from my contacts around the province, rural Nova Scotia communities are very resourceful. That said, we will look at how recognition of that resourcefulness is important, balance that with the reality check, which is in fact the reason for this project. Then we look at the target community selection process, which I'll explain to you is the sort of nitty-gritty of this whole project. Looking ahead, we look at the senior navigator role itself in a nutshell, and how we are engaging community leaders as senior navigators, and a summation. So the overview is that the project was launched by the Rural Communities Foundation in 2015, and it's a proposal, as I said, to create and evaluate ways to improve rural Nova Scotia seniors' access to services through the intervention of a seniors navigator. 3 target communities will be selected, and the effectiveness of trained senior navigators in assisting rural seniors gain improved access to services will be demonstrated in the 3 communities. The local senior navigators and volunteer leaders will be trained, and older people will be connected with the informal or formal supports available in their community, the objective being to maximize their opportunity to remain in their home and community. And the timeline tells us that the project terminates September 2017. That said, as we look at the overview, I can say it's not written in stone. We come together every month with the advisory group, and because it's a community development process, we have the opportunity to revisit the overview, the objectives, and adjust them, and make sure that we are not imposing a set of rules that the communities might not want to observe, because in fact it's a community development process. The project objectives is what we look at next. So, given seniors are located in rural Nova Scotia, out of that we are specifying a subpopulation for whom factors such as low population density, long distance from service centers, high prevalence of poverty or near poverty levels, absence of family members, low literacy levels, inappropriate housing, uncoordinated social and health services apply. Out of that, 3 locations will be identified and designated based on evidence gained from gap analysis research, which is ongoing, where the yet to be defined role of the senior navigator will be applied. Why is the project important? Although the statistics we look at around the province are constantly changing as far as the population characteristics of Nova Scotia, we know that Nova Scotia has the oldest population in the country at 18.9%, although that's pretty much neck and neck right now with New Brunswick and edging up towards 19%. The graph on the right gives you an indication of the percentages of seniors around the province, actually. It's not hard to see how high, for instance, a county like Guysborough is, 30% seniors, and so on. By 2030, there will be almost 260,000 Nova Scotians aged 65 and over, which is an increase of 86.3%. from 2007. The project, as we've said before, is about rural seniors in Nova Scotia. So this statistic, of course, is an interesting one. 1/2 to 1/4 Nova Scotians reside in rural areas. So insufficient access to services, of course, has negative quality of life implications. Older adults who live alone, particularly older women, have higher rates of poverty. 35.5% of single Nova Scotians aged 65 and over live on low income. And considering that the Senior Navigator position will be a volunteer position, it's worth noting that 44% of Nova Scotia seniors volunteer, one of the highest rates in the country for people over 65. Successful aging. There are numerous key points which studies show lead to successful aging. Life satisfaction, rewarding or few regrets, positive attitude about past and present. A social support system from family and friends is critical. Of course, good physical and mental health, financial security, and the one which this project is addressing in particular is older people need to be supported to access the information they need in order to exercise personal control over their lives. For the purpose of this project, we define seniors as persons 65 and over, and representing a wide variation in ability and need, which includes the project partners, planners, providers, and the recipients of the services. Rural, well, we could go on and on defining rural, but for the purpose of this project, rural includes the physical location, the distance from service providers, and the social aspects of an area, and the types of older people who live in rural areas. And aging in place is most commonly referred to by saying that the majority of Canadians age 55 and older want to live at home as long as possible. This project is designed to connect older people with the informal or formal supports available in their community, with the objective being to maximize their opportunity to remain in their home and community. Studies have shown that in order for seniors to find and use the right health and social services at the right time, there must be an individualized response, a durable relationship with a key contact, clear follow-up, and opportunities for continued assistance. Why is the senior navigation an original approach? Well, in this case, each community will determine the partners to be involved. The navigation services are provided by volunteers, and seniors will be trained to help seniors. 43% of Nova Scotians who live in rural areas have limited or no means of accessing services. This from Statistics Canada. Rural Nova Scotia is multifaceted. Community-based initiatives rely on local leadership to provide solutions for social development. And it's worth saying that innovative community strategies that offer support for rural seniors need to be championed. I think that the project is the sum of all of its parts, which is all of us in this room and in all of our communities. So rural Nova Scotia communities define seniors' access to supports and services, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. Rural community members are resourceful, and examples from around the province will show that we need to underline and support the efforts that are taking place already, the navigation that is already taking place to support seniors. That's why I say the word recognition comes first. Second comes the reality check. so that we have a balance of what exists and the fine work that's being done, and in fact, the reason for the project existing.